Hey there, English 9 students. It's Mr. Amick, and I'm here today to show you how to use the big blue button within Schoology. So right off the bat, the big blue button name is a little bit misleading. You're probably thinking, okay, I have to find a big blue button. Well, that's not the case at all. Big blue button just refers to the conferencing tool that we're going to use to have class on a day-to-day basis within Schoology. So to find that big blue button, you're going to want to log into your Schoology account. You can kind of see here, I've already done that on my end. I'm going to go to the class that I need to attend. So let's pretend, for the sake of argument here, that I have Mr. Amick's English class at 9 o'clock and I got to get there. So I'm going to go on my big blue button, on my Schoology account, and I'm going to click that class. Now mine says big blue button training, but we'll pretend it doesn't. I'm going to click that here today. Once I'm within the class, I have all these options over on the left-hand side. I'm going to click Conferences. Once I'm in the Conferences tab, it's going to have a list of any conferences that are scheduled for this class. Now, for my purposes, for my course, everyone, I'm going to label the classes with the date and then the period in which they take place. So you can see this one is listed for today's date, which is August 20th for period 1. I'm going to go ahead and click that here to log in. Okay, you can see it's loading here. Once I get into the conference, it's going to ask me how I want to join the audio. The first thing you always want to do is join with a microphone. Let me tell you why. If you don't join with the microphone right off the bat, you can't add one later. So make sure you join with that microphone. It's then going to connect you to an echo test. And this is going to sound really terrible coming through the mic for a minute, so bear with me. Once the echo test takes place, it's going to ask you to speak a few words into the microphone, and that way you can test out the mic and the speakers and make sure that's all working properly. So again, it's loading up here. It's taking just a little longer than it normally does. Not sure why that's happening. Up. I can hear it. I'll press yes.
You are currently the only person in this conference.
Once I'm in the conference, one of the first things I want to do is I want to mute that audio. When you have, because you're going to be in a class with, upwards of 20 students. When you're in a class with 20 students, it's going to be very distracting when you first get in if all the mics are going off at once. You're going to hear dogs barking in the background, maybe people talking. So my advice to you is when you first come in, mute the mic. When you first come into the class. You may have a teacher that mutes everyone when you get in. Typically, I'll do that, but just in case, go ahead and mute that mic down here at the bottom where that mute button is. You also have the option to leave the audio. I don't recommend that because then you won't be able to hear what's happening within the class. And then also down here, you have the option to share your webcam. Now, I'll tell you, if you share your webcam with me, the only time I'll be the only one that can see you. Your teacher is the only one that can see you within Big Blue Button. Now, when you go into breakout rooms, which we'll talk about later, those are small groups, then other people will be able to see you. But for the main purpose of the course, you're pretty much invisible to everyone but the teacher. So let's go through just a couple things with the Big Blue Button. Now that I've showed you those buttons at the bottom, over here on the left-hand side is where a lot of important things are. So I told you guys to mute yourself when you came in, but you're probably wondering, well, what if I have a question in the middle of it? This public chat window, and I can't promise it'll be available for all of your classes, but at least for mine, you'll have the ability to post questions here in the chat during class. So can you repeat that? And if I'm the teacher and I see that, I can say, oh my gosh, I need to repeat that, and I'll go ahead and do that. You also have the option over here on the side. If you go up here, you can save the chat. So maybe there was a good discussion that made you think about something. You can say, oh, I really like what he said. I need to remember that. I can save it, or I can even copy it and paste it in something. I also have something that's called shared notes over here on the side. Now, every class will be different. Sometimes I'll say, okay, guys, we're going to work on collaborative notes today. And in this case, you guys will be able to go in and add notes as you see fit. Like, okay, Mr. Amick said something really important there. I want to go ahead and add that in. I can go in here and I can add whatever that was. Now, sometimes you won't have the option to do that, but I'll still direct you to look at the shared notes because sometimes I will load pre-completed notes in there or a frame to help you maybe follow through the course of a presentation. And we'll work on those as we go, and either I or a co-teacher will fill those in. So keep in mind, shared notes are going to be very important to us throughout this course. When you're done the class, before you go, you also have the option, if you click these arrows, to export and save those notes either as a PDF, Word document, whatever you see fit. So some other things over here on the side, you see you have 2 users. This gives you all the users right here in the class. You can see I only have 2 right now, which is my account that's presenting and me personally. If I click myself, I can set my status, which I can say I'm away, like maybe I'm going to run off to the bathroom for a minute. I can raise my hand if I have a question. I can indicate how I feel about the lesson. I can applaud, thumbs up, thumbs down. Now, in my class, you'll have this option. I can't promise all your courses will have this, but if you click me in the class, you'll have the option to start a private chat. So let's say I know some people can be shy. Some people are uncomfortable asking questions out in the open. So let's say there was something you didn't quite understand, but you don't want to, come right out and say, I didn't get it. You can send me a private chat by clicking on my name and saying, hey, Mr. Amick, can you repeat that? Or can you, clarify this for me? And I'll either respond back in the private chat or I'll just say anonymously, so I had a question come in about so and so and so, and then I can elaborate on it. So these are just some options you have here in the left-hand side of the big blue button. Again, public chat, shared notes, the ability to edit your status, and to private message me as the instructor. If you don't want to see these menus, click the little guy, it'll go away. So if you're trying to see more of the screen, you can click the little guy, he goes away. Now, typically this will be lit up red during class, indicating the class is being recorded, but right now for this training session, I'm not recording it. So the next thing I want to show you is just a couple different options when your teacher's having a presentation. Now, typically you'll see the teacher's face up here, but the test computer I'm using doesn't have a webcam right now, so that's not there. But you can see that I've added a presentation. And as the teacher goes through the presentation, they might indicate using the cursor, important things to look out for. They'll point out things for you. But what I want to show you is a tool called the multi-user whiteboard. So sometimes if we're doing something collaborative within the class, the teacher may turn on what's called the multi-user whiteboard. Now, the multi-user whiteboard is sort of a neat thing. When it's turned on here, you can see that all of a sudden, I have all of these different options pop up. I now have a pen. So maybe your teacher will say, okay, everyone, go ahead and draw a shape. And I'm not saying that's what'll be done, but maybe they tell you that. You can draw. Or if they say, okay, everyone, point to what you think the most important piece of evidence is. You'd be then able to circle that using that. You can then increase the size. You can change the color. You have all these options over here on the side. You also have the option to make shapes, and you even have a text tool that maybe your teacher says, okay, give me one word to describe this character. You could drag the box, and then you could type and say the character is anxious. If you make a mistake, you can always backspace. You can always hit the arrow there and back it, or you can hit the trash can and eliminate it altogether. So that's an option there on the workspace. Now, keep in mind, you'll see other names other people will have access to write to. Again, it's called a multi-user tool, but there will be times that the teacher may give you the option of being the only one to use it, because they might make you the presenter and say, okay, John, show me on this screen where this is, and then you'll be able to use your little cursor and do that using the tools that I just showed you. Okay, the next thing I want to show you very quickly is how to navigate a video when it appears in the big blue button. So if your teacher shares a video, it'll come up here on your screen, just like a YouTube video typically would. And the difference with big blue button, unlike on YouTube, even though you see all the YouTube buttons here, like you see, the bar that shows the time that's elapsed, you see where you can pause over here, all that interesting stuff. Oh, hold on, I think, but now we're back. So you see the play and the pause button over here. The difference with YouTube and Big Blue Button is because it's being cast by your teacher's in control. So if you try to pause it, or if you try to jump forward, it's automatically going to bump you back to where the teacher is. So notice the teacher has the video paused. Even though I tried to go ahead and keep watching, it pulled me back. So you don't have control over the video itself when it's being streamed by a teacher. Now you could always search the video up on your own later, or if the teacher puts the link in Schoology, but you really don't have control over that video while it's being shown. So make sure you're paying attention as the video rolls. The last thing I want to show you within Schoology is the polling option. So I'm going to make this video disappear. And let's say your teacher asks a polling question. From time to time, that's going to happen. Maybe your teacher says, okay, class, I feel confident that I can use the big blue button, true or false. Your teacher may pull up a poll on the screen, and you can see you now have the polling options over here for true or false. I'm going to select true. And once enough polling results come in, your teacher can publish the results to show the class. The teacher may not always do that, but there is the opportunity for that to happen on the screen. So keep that in mind. Polling options are a thing that we'll be using within the big blue button. All right, I'm going to pause is breakout rooms. So occasionally, and probably more than occasionally, pretty much every day, your teacher's going to place you in different groups, just like you would in a regular classroom. And these are called breakout rooms. Once your teacher activates the breakout rooms, now sometimes you'll have the option to choose your group, but typically you'll be randomly assigned. Once the breakout rooms are created, it'll tell you to join the breakout room. You'll go over here and select join room, and you'll be placed into a new room. Now keep in mind, the main section doesn't necessarily go away. It's just kind of hidden for now. You do have to rejoin using the microphone like you did before, and you will have to reactivate your webcam if you want other people in the breakout room to see you. I don't really need to worry about this echo test because I'm not actually using the mic, but I don't think it's going to let me not use it since I already selected it. But while that's doing, within the breakout room, you'll have all the same options that you typically have in the normal main whole group classroom. Notice you can monitor the time remaining at the top. It's showing me I have 14 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Now that doesn't mean your teacher isn't going to take you out of it sooner, because your teacher will be popping into these breakout rooms. Your teacher has the ability to go into any breakout room that he or she chooses. So if, let me pause that.
You are currently the only person in this room now.
Muted it. All right. So if your teacher sees, okay, everybody's off task, they might end the breakout rooms early, which I'm now going to do on my computer. And you'll be brought back. You can see already, you'll need to rejoin the audio. You can be brought back instantaneously to the main room. So again, when you're in those breakout rooms, it functions just like the normal big blue button, all the same features, all the same options. You're just in a smaller group with a set group of people. And the teacher has the ability to stop those at any time, but typically there is a time limit given. Okay, so that's a little bit of how to use the big blue button today here on Schoology. And I want to show you one more quick little note before we wrap it up for today. I'm back in the main room. My breakout room ended. It's over. I'm back in the room. Now, class is over. I want to make sure I go over here. I want to save those shared notes like I showed you before. I want to say, okay. I want to go back in there, save those how I choose. I can do those as a Word document. It'll pull me over to another screen. And if you can see my screen, it pulls up. The Download Manager completes it. To get out of the conference, I can simply exit out of it with the X, or I can log out. Now, let's say I missed class. Let's say I'm sick or I had a doctor's appointment. If I want to visit a conference that's already concluded, I'm going to go back to the page that I started in Schoology, my class page. I'm going to go back to conferences on the sidebar. And this time, instead of active, I'm going to visit the page that says completed. And it kind of freaked out on me there. All right. When I go into, there it goes. There it's back. When I go into completed, I can now see any conferences that were recorded and have been uploaded for my use. See, I have one down here. Now, keep in mind, your recordings are only available in Schoology for students for 7 days. Sorry, I misspoke. I had a little technical difficulty there. But again, The conferences are only available for 5 days after they've been posted. You can go back in here, you can play them. So make sure you're keeping track of any classes you were to miss and watching those before the 5 days expire, because after that, they are gone forever. Again, you can access them under completed. Make sure you are staying on top of that so you don't miss out on anything in class. So that's been a little bit about the Big Blue Button. I look forward to seeing you live in Schoology very soon and live on the Big Blue Button. Take care, guys. I will see everybody very soon. Thanks again.